So first question, why don't you tell me how you landed at DraftKings? I did a little bit of research and I think I saw a hockey background, so I would love to know what the bridge was from there to facilities management at DraftKings.
Sure. I actually worked in construction for about 10 years, working for a general contractor in Boston. And I actually built DraftKings headquarters as a contractor.
Oh, okay.
And from there, just made some connections, and an opportunity came up to kind of head facilities. And with my background, I was comfortable kind of joining in. And I think within 6 months, the opportunity came to me to oversee workplace as well. So I took it, and still a learning curve, but definitely been an exciting learning opportunity for me.
Amazing. Why don't you tell me what an average day looks like for you, just so I get a sense of all that your role entails?
Sure. Average day, more or less, is checking in on workplace, overseeing a lot of just kind of budget items, making sure approvals, a mix between handling facility items, maintenance items, new projects, or from a workplace side, just kind of overseeing and being part of, call it event meetings, or opportunities and initiatives that we're going to be a part of and helping facilitate on sites.
How did Crafty land on your radar? Still trying to understand a little bit about who decided that Crafty was the best option, and how your opinion weighed into us ultimately becoming a part of the DraftKings family.
Sure. So when I joined, ultimately, I think as anyone would do, kind of coming into a leadership position, kind of did an audit of everything that was going on with DraftKings from the workplace side. Not to mention, we had just come out of, we're in the midst of COVID, and we were coming back and doing an RTO process. And one of the things I noticed was that all of our offices had individual vendors for food, for beverages, for coffee. And just from some experience and working with some other companies, I thought, there's got to be a way where we can kind of nationalize this and make it consistent, from one-offing it, obviously a lot more efficient for our team to not have to handle 12 to 15 different vendors versus one vendor to handle a lot of it. And so we did our research. We had a handful of companies, and Crafty really stood out to us. And ultimately, my decision came out of more or less from a budget standpoint. But I think one of the big items of Crafty that pushed it over the edge versus others was ultimately the programming, which gave us a lot of insight onto what we were spending. It allowed us to audit our own internal use on product, which in turn kind of gave us really that flexibility to say, all right, well, RTO is different. We have to be flexible. So this allows us to change, adjust as needed as these past few years have gone on, and as we all kind of adapt to the new regular in the workplace.
How did the pandemic impact DraftKings and what people are asking for in the workplace now compared to what they were expecting before?
Sure. So one of the obvious differences with COVID, and I don't imagine we're alone, and there's very few that kind of went back to the normal of 5 days a week in the office. And coming back, really there was a level of how do we utilize the space that we have that was built for 5 days a week, and make it as efficient as possible for this new hybrid world. And what we have found is that across all our offices, we want a similar experience. B, when people come in, it should never feel like a long day. So we have to be prepared for every day to prepare for whoever comes in, regardless of if it's a large capacity of people or small. And I think the third thing we've learned is people appreciate that when they do come in, they don't have to fend for themselves. So from our food and beverage standpoint, right, it makes it easier to come in, knowing that when they come in, they don't have to stop and go get coffee. They already have to commute and do all these things now, right, which they don't have to do every day. So what can we be doing to make it as easy for them so that when they get in, they can do their work and feel a part of the community again? Piece, and that engagement and that want for connectivity amongst employees kind of is a nice, easy transition into that.
How have you guys been able to measure that?
So our biggest feedback does come from surveying, but we get a lot of personal feedback. The workplace team is on site every day. And we get a lot of feedback from people, and what we typically find is that people not only enjoy it, but they have a little bit of a say. If they really don't have, they have product issues, if they have concerns with wanting, or certain teams have a desire, like, we can go back to that. And now with Crafty, we can go right to our to the software and the programming and say, hey, this is what we need, and we can make that change, get it on the next delivery, and see how that plays out. Through Crafty, we can see usage, and how often we're reordering products, and how much we're spending per product, and we can really evaluate, like, all right, well, what works and what doesn't work. So that's been extremely beneficial.
How has Crafty been able to support your goals around communication, or made you a more effective communicator with your colleagues?
I think from a communication standpoint, it's just knowing that if we have any concerns, we can reach out and quickly have a follow-up. I think speed and flexibility are two crucial pieces to any growing company. Again, especially in this post-COVID world where we have to be flexible, we have to be quick to react. And knowing that we have that ability to kind of hear what's needed and adjust quickly, ultimately not only leads to obviously an efficiency and getting to what our customers, our employees want, but at the end of the day, it gives us the confidence that, like, we can kind of tackle everything quickly and ultimately instill trust and confidence with them.
So how do you work to make sure that everyone feels like they're having the same positive experiences no matter which office they're stepping into?
Well, one of it is how we design our offices. Our offices are designed to more or less, our larger offices, especially like Boston and Vegas, are designed with similar details and similar structure. But a lot of it comes down to using companies like Crafty, who can consolidate, who can do things on a national level, which frankly, we know what's going to be in the fridge. We know what the fridges are going to look like. We know what the racks, the coffee machines, right? And from a service standpoint, we also know that we're going to get high quality. And if for some reason we don't, Crafty is going to be there to adjust that and make sure that we as the customer are happy.
Are there any unique quirks or design features that we may not know that went into the space and that impact your role today in terms of how people use and function in the workspace?
Absolutely. So DraftKings obviously involved in sports. We have a lot of sports themed areas, and we have these huddle areas themed after sports where people can sit down and collaborate in kind of an open space setting. And then one of the other probably most prominent features is in our Boston office, we have a massive cafeteria, which ultimately 10 to 20,000, it's about 20,000 square feet cafeteria space, which not only allows us to have everyone sit together when they do have their lunch or when they take their breaks, but when we have large on-sites, when we have meetings, AMAs with different partners, it allows us to get 200, 300, 400 people into the space at once and really utilizing it, everyone in there together without overcrowding or affecting people that are working in other parts of the office. So that's one of the highlights of our space.
How has Crafty's tech appealed to you, and how do you use it in tandem with the other technology that you guys are using at DraftKings?
I think a big base, and this goes across for workplace experience as a whole, as there is this giant shift in how the workplace operates. Data, the analytics, that's a key driver in showing not only results, but also key factors in retention and engagement with employees. So from a side of utilizing that data and analytics to showcase the effectiveness of workplace in these programs to the executive level is ultimately a huge piece, and one of the big reasons we did choose Crafty as our food and beverage provider.
Final question, can you point to a event or experience that let you know that you made the right decision in going with Crafty?
I think it came right back down to the first 6 months of RTO. And,
okay.
and really what happened is you have this unsure group of employees that are coming in maybe for the first time in years, maybe for the first time ever as new DraftKings employees that were hired during COVID.
Okay.
And when they came in, yes, they had their desk setups and their monitors and everything there, but to know that, like, hey, I can go sit down in the cafeteria and I can go grab a drink and I can go grab a snack or a cup of coffee quickly. It not only provided a level of maybe comfort for folks, but I think it provided huge part of building community back in the office space again, and allowing people to connect. Since we've partnered with Crafty, we've had nothing but I think success and positive outcomes. And we look forward to the not only evolution of our relationship, but the evolution of Crafty and where the company is going. We see great things, and yeah, just looking forward to continued success.